I'm Kimberly Turner from cookingwithkimberly.com, and tonight I have my mom on. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
Tonight we're going to show you how to make something very near and dear to our heart, very near and dear to our family. This is generations of recipe. Tonight we're going to make a Mennonite style borscht. Now it's a beef borscht. We have different variations on it. Sometimes we add certain things, sometimes we don't. Just depends on what we have. Tonight we're actually going to add a sweet potato later.
Yes.
Right? We don't often do that. Sometimes we do. It's different every time, but the main foundation is the same.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so here's the foundation of how to do beef borscht. This is Mom's style. I got Mom's for you. Ready? Let's go.
And today we're not putting beets in. So.
No beets.
No beets.
You can if you want.
You can if you wish.
And often we do.
Yes.
So there you go.
Okay.
Ready?
The first thing I'm going to do, I cubed some stewing beef to about 3/4 of an inch diameter little cubes of
That looks
beef.
like...
I'm going to dredge them in flour and fry them up.
It looks like about 1.5 pounds.
Yes.
Okay. So are you seasoning your flour?
No, not really. I'm more interested in getting this browned up because we're going to season that stock to no end.
Okay. So on your stovetop right now, Mom's already prepared a stock. You can use pre-bought stock, you can use water, or you can make your own stock. This morning we made our own stock.
Yes.
We made a beef and pork stock mixed together, sort of. And it's all strained, it's on the stovetop, and it's hot. We have about 12 cups.
Yes.
Right. Next to it, we have a frying pan. Should be heating up a little higher than that. Mom has about, looks like 1.5 tablespoons of grapeseed oil. And we want that frying pan to be hot. So I'm heating it.
Yes. You can use any oil you wish. I like to use the grapeseed oil because it doesn't impart other flavors. I want to get the flavor of this soup.
Very neutral.
Yeah.
Okay, so while you're doing that, preheat that pan. Okay. Into flour, just plain all-purpose flour. You can season it if you like. So Mom's just dredging it. That's it. You want it all coated.
If you miss a little spot, it's not going to be the end of the world, but I like that browning to go into the soup itself to give it more depth.
Well, it also thickens it. If you use the flour, that's going to be a thickening agent for your soup. It's going to slightly thicken it, just like kind of like how you would use a roux dish, but just in a different order.
Now, Kim would have put this into a bag and put flour in and thrown the meat in.
Or just went like this with my hands. But Mom's kind of frou-frou, and that's okay.
Okay, we're good. We can throw these pieces of meat.
Would you like me to do that?
Sure, honey.
Okay. The oil should be looking like it's densing, so to speak.
Yes.
So I'm going to use my hands. All right, so we want it to sizzle, and we got to sizzle. You want to make sure that keeps sizzling because you want it to brown. You want to brown it on. You're probably going to have to do these in 2 batches. Yes. You're going to use the smaller pan. If you want it to do it all, use a great big pan. Don't overcrowd.
Also, the meat shrinks a little bit, so 1.5 pounds of ground beef, the stewing beef gives you just what you want. The proper portion for 12 cups of stock.
Now try and shake off any excess flour because that's going to burn in the bottom of your pan, and that's not what you want. This is going to go 2 batches. In the meantime, Mom has some bay leaves here. We're just going to throw into our stock to get some flavor going already. The stock is on the stove and it's heating already.
So yes, as soon as that has browned up, we'll throw the next batch of stewing beef in there, and then we'll be ready.
This is not something you want to take the pan and flip because you have too much oil and you might could splash it on yourself. Do not do that. You'll be really upset and might be really hurt.
And you'll wreck your clothes. Once you get oil splattered on your clothes, it's a loss.
Hard to get out.
Well, it always leaves a little mark. This is basically what you do with your beef when you're making stew. You brown.
Now see, I often would do that in the bottom of my large stock pot, but today we already have our stock ready.
And that's what I cooked the stock.
If you didn't do that already, you can start this in the bottom of your pan, and that way it's only a 1 pan.
Yes.
Let that get some nice browning on it. Now the deeper and darker you get the browning, the more flavor you're going to get out of this soup.
Just like you do
we're
with
going to take this to nice and brown, not just barely. You want it to be brown. Okay, so we have nice brown bits. Look at these nice pieces of meat, all nice and browned up. So I'm going to use a slotted spoon or however you got to get it out of there, and get it out. We're going to put it right into our warm stock now. That's how we're going to Okay, the stock is on low with the meat in it. We're going to add a little bit more grapeseed oil to the pan just to make sure we have enough when we're doing our second batch of beef. And we're gonna get started here with the rest. In the meantime, you want to get 2 cans, large cans of tomatoes open, or if you've done your own, or if you have fresh ones, if you want to use fresh ones. How many do you think they would need to use fresh?
Oh, probably 8 tomatoes.
Yeah, 8 tomatoes. Nicely chopped. Finely chopped.
Because actually what you hope for is for them to break down so much that you get very small, soft pieces of tomato with every mouthful.
Well, they just break down.
Yes.
Right? In fact, the ones that we have are whole in the can. I just typically tend to buy whole ones all the time because you can make them not whole. If you already have them mushed up and diced, then you can't go back.
That's right.
So I like to buy the whole ones and then I squish them into my soup. Is that what you do? You squish them in? Okay, so there's my beef. We're finishing up this second batch, and that's what's up.
Actually, when I open the tomato up, the tin of tomatoes, I usually just use my masher and mash them right in there a little bit. Yeah.
Does it make a mess and splash everywhere?
No, not if you take your time.
Really? I've heard of people taking kitchen scissors and putting it in there and just yeah.
That's a good one.
That's a tip I've seen before.
So good.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I'm gonna get your tins open.
We're just going to open 1 tin of tomatoes for the time being. It just depends on the soup and how you're making it. If it's the right color for me and the right consistency, we might use 2, or 1.5. We'll see as we go along. Not a specific recipe. You don't have to be so exact that a teaspoon or a tablespoon is going to make a difference.
No doubt. Okay, so are we putting any other seasonings in here, like peppercorns and cloves and stuff like that? Okay.
There is. I put a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper in there already, but we only need another teaspoon of black pepper and a teaspoon of salt.
So you want ground black pepper or peppercorns?
Just ground black peppers.
Really? Is that how you do it? Okay. See, I'm getting all the real tips. Mom tells me how to make things, and then when I'm actually with her and she makes things, she just
That's because it's all memory work. It's it just something that I just cook by feel.
And see, I do pretty much the same things, but just slightly different variations on what you're saying. You know what I mean? And it's about the same thing later. How much pepper?
A teaspoon.
A teaspoon. That's a lot. Wow. I like pepper. I'm not mad at that.
And a couple of dashes of cayenne. But dashes.
And do you put a clove in?
Not in this soup.
Okay. Wow, you don't?
That's the way my mom did it. That's the way we do it.
These look nice and crispy. Now, don't get it twisted. Stewing beef is not, I mean, even though it's cooked here, it's not going to be nice to chew on.
No.
It needs time to stew. That's why it's called stewing beef. It needs time to stew in liquid for hours, to soften up, to tenderize, to come apart. And you don't, I mean, even if you pop one, you'll be like, tastes good, but boy, is that chewy.
Yeah.
So we're not doing that.
If you put it in now, you couldn't eat the soup in 15 or 20 minutes.
No, man.
There's just no way. You wouldn't be happy with the meat. It should be just so tender it falls apart.
That's why they call it stewing beef. Now you know. Okay, these are nice and brown. Second batch into the pot. All those nice little brown bits. That's going to give you flavor. Now what, Mommy?
Now we're going to, the thing that takes the longest really to soften up is the cabbage.
Vegetable-wise.
Truthfully, I don't think you can overcook the cabbage.
Well, I like my cabbage
I like
soft.
it nice and soft.
In my borscht,
so
especially.
I put that in next, and I let
it
cook until it's softened somewhat, and then the other vegetables can go in.
Okay.
But this takes up a lot of room, so we're going to put that in now so it breaks down.
Right. It's full of a lot of water. Now, Mom has lovingly prepared about 3/4 of a head of cabbage. It wasn't a large one; it was a medium size, one. And she used 3/4 of it. No core. Take the core out, and she just chopped it into nice, workable bits that you can actually put on your spoon and eat comfortably. So into the pot, all of the cabbages go, which is so good for you.
Oh yes, it is, and the soup is so delicious.
That's comfort food. Okay, so what else do you have over here, Mom? You've got your tomatoes that I've opened.
Yes. We have the potatoes going last because they take the shortest length of time to cook. As soon as the cabbage has reached about halfway cooked, then we'll put in the celery. There's 1 cup of celery and 2 cups of diced carrots.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you've done the celery nice and small, finely minced here, and this is the carrots, they're just diced, okay? So then you have the potatoes, they are up, you know,
A little
of
bigger.
comparable size, but a tiny bit bigger. And then you've got some, well, not fresh, but frozen, we had frozen.
Dill and parsley.
We're coming out of the winter now, so we don't have fresh stuff yet, but we've got our frozen from our garden last year, our dill and some parsley,
Yes.
and then 1 can of tomatoes at least.
Right now we can put about half of this in there.
Okay.
And then we'll finish the soup off later and we'll put the rest of the herbs in so that we don't lose all of the flavor through the cooking.
I'd say that's about a tablespoon
Yes.
of dill, and I have about, I don't know, 2 teaspoons of parsley. Okay.
Give it a little stir and let it get happy.
On what temp?
We can increase it to medium
Okay.
so that it's boiling just barely.
So once it comes up to a boil, you're going to turn it down to a simmer, whatever
Yes.
that is on your stovetop.
Yes.
I like to put my lid on to bring it back up to heat.
Exactly.
The way I want it. So you'll see us, I guess, when things have bubbled down a little bit in the cow.
Mhm.
Okay, our soup has been simmering for what? Would you say about an hour?
40 minutes to an hour.
40 minutes to an hour. It smells glorious.
Yes, it does.
Lovely. It's a nice light, actually a light stock because you use just bones.
That's right.
It smells so good.
Okay.
Yes. Now's the time. Now we're putting carrots in. How many cups of carrots do you think that's?
2 cups,
Two
of,
cups
carrots
of carrots?
and 1 cup of celery diced.
1 can of tomatoes. Now I'm going to put all the liquid in as well. That's what I like to do first so it doesn't make such a mess. And then I take my tomatoes out and I just squeeze them in.
To the stock so that it doesn't squirt all over.
So Mom snuck behind me and I didn't know that she did it, and that's good because they're almost done. I was gonna say these whole tomatoes aren't so whole, they're kind of crushed. So she just whizzed through a nice sharp knife through the can. No big deal. You could use a masher. Again, you can use kitchen shears, or you could just use your hands like I'm doing.
And you know what? Even if you put them in whole, eventually they'll be
Right,
good.
so now we're gonna let that go for a little longer. Tell us.
Let's have a look at the color. See the color. We're going to leave it with the lid off for a while.
Okay.
Just to concentrate the flavors a bit and make room for a little bit more tomato.
I concur. So the things that we have left are the potatoes. How many potatoes is that?
4 cups.
So prepare 4 cups of potatoes in a nice little, maybe 1.5 inch dice, and get some extra herbs ready. And that's that. We're gonna let this go for what? Probably another hour or so, yeah?
About half an hour. It should have reduced a bit, and then we'll add a few more tomatoes to it.
Yes, ma'am.
See how that goes,
Yes,
and put the potatoes in when we're ready to eat. Just about.
So this beef is just stewing in there and getting all nice and tender
yes.
this whole time, and you are adding layers of flavor.
Right.
This is the point.
Why don't you dig one of the pieces out
Of the meat?
Yeah, let's see what stage it's
Okay,
at.
the meat looks like this. It's nice and tender so far. It's getting even more tender, and it's gonna be even more tasty. So let's go. We're gonna bring this back up and let it go for a while. Mom so lovingly diced up these potatoes, and they've been sitting in water just to keep them from turning color. So we just drained the water out. They're going in. The cabbage is tender.
Yes.
Mom tasted the meat. She said it's nice and tender. And the vegetables are tender, the carrots and celery.
Right.
So in go the potatoes, and as soon as the potatoes are done,
We're ready.
okay, we're also going to put the rest of our spices in, our dill and our parsley. Going to give it a quick stir, and we decided not to put sweet potatoes in, just because we didn't want to today. That's all. Whatever. You don't have to. We usually
fine
don't.
the way it is,
But whatever. We
actually,
just wanted to use it up, but we're going to keep it. All right, so you'll see us as soon as those are done. That's probably going to be about 15 minutes. Ish.
Yes.
Okay, so then we'll be ready to eat. Yay! Okay, the soup's ready. I'm just gonna put some in my bowl. Make sure you get chunks of everything, the beef and the potatoes and the cabbage and everything. But my favorite part is the broth. Oh, now we're gonna have to let this cool a little bit for me to try, I think. Because it's on fire. It's hot. Okay,
Ooh, that's hot.
Make sure you adjust the seasonings, do a taste test, make sure you don't need any extra salt, any extra pepper. If you like a little bit of spice, put a little more cayenne pepper in. Now you can serve this with rice, you can serve it with barley, right? You can serve it by itself. Another traditional way that Mom likes to do, that we like to do, I don't do it on the first day, but the next day that I have it, I like to put sour cream in it. You can use sour cream, but I also like to use, instead of the sour cream, I like to use the plain Balkan style yogurt, which gives me the same flavor and it's just better for you, right? Anyhow, this is steamy. Look at this bowl. This rainbow bowl of deliciousness. Now this is, I guess, a Russian/German style soup. I love the big pieces of dill. I love dill.
Me too.
Did you?
Not so good without dill.
No. Did you put dill seeds in here as well as in the stock? I thought so. Super hot. Also, who else? Dad used to eat vinegar in it.
Yes.
You have some nice, fresh, crusty Italian or French bread, or Zwieback if you want.
Some nice fresh bread. This is wonderful. Soup, Kim.
The broth is so good. The potato's so hot, but it's just perfectly tender. I don't like the potatoes to go too mushy. That's why we put them in at the very end, and you turn it off when you're done.
Right.
That's a wrap. Let me have some meat. Yours looks good with the sour cream in.
Yeah, I love the sour cream in there. That's what my mom used to do. She would mix the sour cream with actual heavy cream, and then she would
mix it right into the pot.
Mix some of the stock into that cold cream until she was able to pour it into the soup, because if you just dump that sour cream in there, it all curdles and big chunks of it are everywhere. So you stir in a little bit of the stock and then gently pour it into the soup while you stir it, and it'll be just heavenly.
Now that's a tasty bowl of soup.
Yeah,
this is very much a peasant's dish. It used to be made from the bones and the scraps of the beef or whatever kind of meat, mostly beef. It has potatoes in, very inexpensive, cabbage, carrots, all inexpensive things. Beautiful, beautiful soup, Mom. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's the perfect day for it. It poured and it's kind of cold tonight.
Kind of a miserable day
Yes,
where all
ma'am.
your joints hurt.
Yes, ma'am. It is one of those days. This beef is fantastic. Now that's my mama's borscht. Now, feel free to add beets to it. It gives a beautiful, beautiful color.
I love
but it
beets.
also changes the color of your potatoes to pink.
Yes, it
So
does.
don't be worried. It'll be okay.
Still put the potatoes in near the end, so you just don't get purple potatoes, but I do love the beets in there.
Mom, that is so good.
I know.
That's our soul food. When I think of soul food and I think of home cooking, this is the thing I think of. Borscht and things.
My granddaughter Jessica said that she really missed having borscht. She's really dying.
Yeah, she needs to learn how to make it. Go to the site. Anyhow, make sure you check out Mom's website at ingridturnertoday.com. Mom is the bomb. She knows what's up. All right? Follow me on Twitter at Cooking with Kim E with a capital E. Like the fan page at facebook.com/Cooking with Kimberly. My shows are on ifood.tv/Cooking with Kimberly and youtube.com/Cooking with Kimberly. And my site is cookingwithkimberly.com. That's it. That's all. Be a champion in your kitchen and eat deliciously. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I need to go eat more of this.
Oh, so good. It is so good.